So this morning's class, you just really need a block, and I'm going to start in something called Hero's Pose. So I'm just going to sit on the block on our knees. Going to take the block towards the heels a little bit, bring the knees together, and then slowly sit back because the calves and the kneecaps can be a little bit tight and stiff. So you want to take it gently. If you don't need the block, you can sit right down on the floor. That's great. If you need a block plus a book to raise yourself up a little higher, then you can do. We're only going to be here for a minute or so, just stretching out the ankles. The toes are pointing backwards. Knees relatively close together, sitting up nice and tall. Taking a few breaths. So it really doesn't take too long for these guys to sort of open up, unless you've done a horrendous legs session in the gym the day before. And then we'll take it out from there. So just using the fingers. I'm going to stretch the legs out a little bit. And then I'm going to come into child's pose. So I'm just going to move the block out of the way, keep the knees about in the hip distance apart. So it's a slightly narrower version. Sit again onto the sitting bones, and then walk the hands slowly forward so you get some extension in the spine, keeping the elbows away from the ground. Just walk the fingers out as far as you can. Should be looking to get a big stretch down the sides of the bodies into the armpits. And attempting to breathe into the belly a little bit so you get that lower spine stretch as well. Kind of pulses into the spine. And then we'll lift up and come back up onto all fours. And we'll start to take some cat-cow. So we're just going to draw the chest forwards, tuck the tailbone under to lift the spine, letting the belly draw in naturally, pressing into the hands and the shins a little more. It can be a pose that's nice to take in a progressive way, in that the stretch gets bigger the more repetitions you work through. So you can afford to take it gently to start with, and then work your way into it a little bit more. Try and roll the shoulders away from the ears a little. Being very conscious that the shoulders are sitting over the top of the wrists rather than letting the hands wander forwards. Take one more breath forwards. And then we'll come back into a neutral spine. We're going to take something called a melting heart. So we start with the hands underneath the shoulders. We take them a little wider than we just had them, just an inch or so. Keeping the hips over the knees, we're going to walk the hands forwards and press the hands down so the arms are fully activated. So we're not sitting completely into the shoulder joints. We're getting a nice straight line between hands, shoulders and hips. And press the shins into the floor. And try and maintain the feet, bootlaces down, and about the same distance apart as the knees. There's a tendency for them to kind of sort of fold into the center of the toes if you're not careful. And draw the belly in, as if you can send your tailbone up towards the sky. Let yourself to spread the shoulders out wide and then squeeze them in together on the breath. So expand on the inhale. Let them squeeze together a little bit on the exhale. We'll take 2 more breaths. Try and keep the head in line with the arms. We'll walk the fingers in and let the hips move back a little bit. So once you've moved weight a little around, you can bring the hands back in nice and easily. We'll take down dog, so take a little breath, tuck the toes underneath, and lift ourselves up. So we can stretch a leg out at a time, a little bit of doggy walking. And we'll start to take the hands towards the toes. So coming into the back of the mat into a forward fold. Just rolling the heels down gently into the ground. As you arrive with fingers in line with the toes, then bring the hands onto the shins to lift up halfway. Lengthen the body out. Exhale down. Just folding it in, letting the spine round a little bit. Bending the knees a little more, just give those hamstrings a nice chance to stretch out. Inhale up, halfway. Exhale down. Get the ribs right onto the thighs. Hands onto the shins to lift up halfway. Exhale out. This time take the hands forwards about 12 inches or so and zigzag the toes out to the corner edges of the mat. Turn the toes out. Sit your bottom down so you come into a deepest squat you can do. You're going to let the body sink in through between the thighs, head down, so a rounded spine, and then we're just going to drive through the legs, gorilla style, lifting ourselves up. We'll take the hands out to the side and up to the sky, into the heart. Allow ourselves to hinge forward slowly. Bring the hands to the floor. So the body is more sort of extended out rather than folded down at that point. And then allow the bottom to sit down again, around the spine, drive back out. Inhale up. We'll take 1 more of these. Hands into the heart. Drawing the belly in. Hinging over slowly, hands to the floor, and then soften the knees, squatting down. Rolling it out. Take the hands to the sky and then let the hands come out to the side of the body. I'll just shake out the legs a little bit as we come up to the front of the mat. Good news is my radiator's finally started to kick in. We'll take the hands up to the sky on the breath in. And into the heart. Exhale, forward fold. Feet are about hip distance apart. We'll take a little breath from here. And we'll step the left and the right leg back into a plank and then up into a down dog. Just allow the heels to press towards the back of the mat, lifting the hips up high. Belly drawn in. Take 1 more breath here. And then draw the left knee in towards the chest and bring the foot through into the lunge. And drop the back knee down onto the floor. And tuck in the toes and bring the hands onto the front thigh to lift up slowly. Bring the hands down by the side of the body and out to the side. Bring the hands into prayer. Keep those elbows as high as the shoulders. Rotate round to the left side. Take a little breath. Fold that right elbow out to the outside edge of the thigh. And then press the hands towards each other and lift the chest gently away from the floor. So just easing into that twist, but with as much space and length as we can manage. Now we'll bring the hands back down to the floor. Step it back into our down dog. Stretch it up to the sky again. We'll come into a plank and half plank. So forwards on the breath in. Tippy toe push. Elbows into the ribs. Bootlaces turn. Chest lifts. Back into our down dog. And we'll draw the right knee into the chest. Bring the foot through into the lunge. And lower the back knee. And untuck the toes. Bring the hands onto that front thigh to lift up again. Let the hands come out to the side. Lift them up high. Into the heart. Rotate around gently as you exhale. Take a breath. Extend over into the twist. So lengthen the spine again. Press the heel of the hand together. So feel the shoulders opening a little bit. You squeeze the shoulder blades together to help open up the front of the chest. And then we'll bring the hands to the floor. Step it back into our down dog. Come forwards into the plank. Into the half plank. To up dog. And into that final down dog. We'll draw the left knee into the chest, bring the foot through. This time we'll step into the front of the mat. Hands onto the hips, lift up. Inhale high, hands through the heart. Exhale down to the floor. Take a little breath. Taking the right foot to the back of the mat. Letting the knee come down. We'll bring the hands onto the front thigh again to lift up gently. You're going to try and lift the body up out of the pelvis and then take the hands behind the back and just interlace the hands. Draw them down towards the floor. And then we're going to see if we can lift those hands away from the bottom and send them towards the back of the mat. So big through the front chest, stretching. See if you can squeeze the shoulder blades together a little bit. That will help you find a bit more space. Now you're going to release the hands down. Take them out to the sides and up to the sky on the breath in. We'll hinge forwards and down to the floor. Step it back into the plank. And then move into the up dog for a breath. Exhale it out. Take another breath into plank. Half plank to up dog. To down dog. And we'll draw that right knee in. Lunge. Strong back leg. Press off the toes for the forward fold. Hands onto the hips. Lengthen the spine out and up. Inhale high. Hands into the heart. We'll take it to the second side. So coming down. Left foot back. Knee to the ground as we untuck. Hands onto the thigh, so it's a gentle lift on the spine. Allow ourselves to take the hands behind. Draw the chest and ribs down a little bit. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. Then feed the hands out towards the back of the mat. Now, some people are able to do this with the heel of the hand together. I'm lucky if this time in the morning, if I can just get my fingers to interlace. So it just shows that the shoulders and the chest, everything opens up during the day. It takes a little bit of time. We're going to release the hands down. Inhale high. Extend over. Bring the hands down. We'll step into the plank and then into the up dog. Take a breath here. Exhale it out. Inhale, float into the plank. Exhale into the half. Take the up dog. Breath in. Into our up dog. Sorry, down dog. Got carried away there. Too many up dogs. We draw the left knee into the chest and bring the foot through for the lunge. Press off the toes. Soften the knees, lengthen the chest forwards, hands to the hips to lift. Inhale high. Hands into the heart. Exhale down to the floor. And step back into down dog. You're not going to be here terribly long. We're going to bring the toes to touch on the back at center line. And then we're taking pigeon pose. So we're going to draw the left knee into the chest, bring it through. Take it out to the outside of the left wrist, heel under the groin. And then when you're ready, you're going to slide your rear foot away and let the hips sink down to the floor. Now we're going to come down onto the elbows. And press the forearms down into the floor. And have the palms facing in. Try and broaden the shoulders out wide. So it's like you're pressing down into the elbows and then trying to separate the elbows out a little wider without actually moving them. I'm going to try and draw the chest forwards a little bit and then lengthen the back leg out. So you stretch the toes even further away, feel the leg almost wanting to lift off the floor. Belly drawn in. And then we'll bring the hands to the ground again, coming back up higher. Roll the shoulders back, draw the belly in, tuck the toe underneath, lift the knee, and slowly move the hips up to the sky. So you stretch back into your down dog and reset the feet back of the mat. And draw the right knee into the chest, float that forwards, the knee to the outside of the wrist, heel under the groin, allow yourself to walk left foot back. Just taking a couple of breaths here, getting the hips to sink down a little more. And when you're ready, come onto the elbows, about shoulder distance apart, palms face in. Press down into the elbows, then try and spread the shoulders, lengthen the chest and the leg. And keep getting length in the body, just the last few breaths. And then we'll bring the hands back, roll the shoulders down, draw the belly in, lift the knee gently, ease back into your down dog. We're going to let the knees come straight down to the floor, but we'll take them wide. We'll come into child's pose again. And as the heels touch to the ground, we're going to walk the hands over to the right side and then lay the body down on top of the thigh. And then we'll walk across to the opposite side. So lifting up a little bit, and block out of the way. One more breath here. We'll come back to the center. Lift up onto all fours. We're going to take down dog. So just tuck the toes underneath and lift up. We'll take a right leg scissor. So just letting the hips open out a little bit, coming up onto tiptoe. Get a little bit of a squeeze into the butt. And then hinge the foot back down to the floor. And take it to the left. Trying to keep the shoulders as square as you can. So both arms are equally working, not collapsing into the elbows. Last breath. Foot comes down to the floor. We'll come back into a plank just so that we can bring the knees to the floor into tabletop. And we'll take thread the needle. So we're taking the right hand up to the sky on a twist. And then folding that in. Let the shoulder and the ear come down to the floor, and see if you can then walk your left hand forwards as far as you can. You can be on the fingertips. Very straight left arm. Rotating the chest round up to the sky. Just pressing the shins lightly into the floor. And then we'll bring the hand back, press into the ground to lift, and we'll do that to the left side. So just taking the hand up to the sky on the breath in, folding it under. Trying to keep the hips over the knees, pressing the shins lightly into the floor. When you feel safe, you're going to walk that right hand up and out, so it just follows the line of the mat. Very straight onto the fingertips, and then take a little bit more of a rotation of the chest towards the ceiling. Last breath here. And ease the hand back in, press away. So come up onto all fours, we'll just swing the feet out to the side and allow ourselves to come back into a seated posture. And I'm going to take the block underneath our bottom and lift up gently. I'll take the left foot underneath out to the right hip and come into a seated twist. So right leg goes over. Take a little breath. I'm going to draw left arm around the right knee. Press the hips forwards a little bit so that pelvis tilts more into a neutral position rather than leaning back. And then I just use the strength of the arms to hold that knee close in towards the chest. Feeling that quite strong sensation of work down the outside of the hip bone. Going to release and take it into the second side. Again, just bringing that footing, getting the sitting bones down, sitting up tall, wrapping the arm around, and then drawing the knee in towards the body, using the arms to kind of make a little bit of a cradle, using the strength of the shoulders to draw that knee and thigh a little closer into the body. So it is a seated twist, but we're not too worried about the rotation. Interested in how that outside edge of the thigh feels as you cross the knee in towards the body. And then we'll let ourselves release from there as well. We'll come off of the blocks, just moving forwards a little bit, and then allow the feet to be about hip distance apart and bring the soles of the feet down to the floor. But keep the hands behind and just turn the fingers towards the front of the mat. Roll the shoulders back a little bit, lift the chest, keep the chin in towards the throat a little bit. And then when you're ready, we're going to lift the bottom off the floor, taking reverse tabletop. So we're going to draw the bottom towards the knees, keeping the knees over the heels, and then we're going to lift the hips up towards the sky and try and get into a nice flat tabletop. See if you keep the knees parallel, or the thighs parallel, the knees the same distance apart as the feet. Press down through the shins. Try and press into the entirety of the foot rather than just the heel or just the toes or the side edges. And try and keep it nice and square. Going to let the hips raise up, shoulders back, little squeeze. Get about another 5 breaths here. Keeping the belly drawn in a little. Two more breaths. And then we're down slowly. And just lift up a little bit. Take the block out of the way. And draw ourselves down towards the floor. So we're going to take a spiral twist here. We'll take the arms out wide. And we're going to offset the hips off to the left a little bit so the knees can come down to the right. Now see if you can lengthen the hips away from the body, as if you've got an extra pair of hands drawing your waist down towards the front of the mat. If this doesn't feel like it's doing very much for you, flex both feet, squeeze the thighs together, and that will juice it up a little bit for you. And we'll bring the knees into the center again, revisit center line, and then offset to the right to let the legs move down to the left. And then again, if you want to amp that up, flexing the feet, so toes towards knees, squeeze thighs together, Keep the shoulders on the ground. And we'll bring the knees back up. And we're moving into bridge pose. So we're going to bring the heels a little closer into the body, hip distance apart, bring the hands alongside and palms face down. So wriggle the shoulders underneath a little bit. And then draw the lowers back into the ground. We'll take a breath here. Put the tailbone away from the floor so the lower back connects. And then start to press into the legs and lift up. Draw the thighs forwards and the bottom towards the front of the mat. So I feel like you're lengthening the legs away a little bit. Doesn't need to be the tallest bridge in the world. Sort of roll the spine back down again on the exhale. Nice slow even roll down to the floor. Take a breath at the bottom. Draw the belly in, lower back into the floor again. So you get that little pelvic tilt before you lift. And then lengthen the legs away. Remember to press into the arms, the shoulders and the wrists, forearms. Roll it back down. Exhale, tuck the tailbone, lift up. Releasing down. And one more time. And a final roll back down to the floor. Now, as we arrive, we'll wriggle the toes and heels together. And then draw the right knee in towards the chest. We'll take the hands around the shin or the thigh. Draw that knee in towards the right knee to right armpit. Slide the left leg out. Press out through the heel. So trying to get a long leg down the center line of the mat. Making sure the toes point up towards the sky. It's that last little bit of internal rotation that kind of turns the thighs and the legs on for us. And we'll swap over gently, so we'll slide that left heel in, bring both feet to the floor first. Then draw the left knee in towards the body. Take the hands around the shin and thigh, whatever you take hold of. And then when you're ready, slide the right leg out. And then we release. So we'll slide that right heel back in. Bring the feet to the floor, close into the bottom again. We'll take the right knee back in again, this time hands around the back of the thigh to interlace, and slowly press the heel towards the sky. And have the foot flexed. Just check your left knees pointing to the sky, not out to the side. Draw the belly down to the floor. Press the hips towards the front of the mat. And we'll let that foot come to the floor. And we'll carefully swap it over to the other leg. So remember to keep the hands low down towards the groin, the bottom of the hamstring. Press the foot out slowly so you can feel the stretch of the leg nicely. Remember to draw the belly in a little bit, send the hips away. So it does get stronger in terms of the need to keep those fingers interlocked. When you start pressing the hips away, you're moving the body out, and if you've got short arms, it will get a little bit tight. So the foot's going to be closer towards the head than perhaps mine. I've got quite long arms. Take a last breath here. And let that foot come back down to the floor as well. Exhale it out. Now we're going to take the feet out as wide as the mats and let the knees come in. Take the arms out wide again. So we're taking another set of spiral twists. We're just going to scissor the legs out to the right. Head to the left. And we'll slowly bring everything back up. Reset the feet if you need to. Take them over to the second side. And we'll bring the knees back up. And we're going to come into happy baby. So we're going to draw the knees in towards the chest. Toes come together, knees go wide. I like to bring my chin in towards my chest so I can see what I'm doing. I take my hands onto the inside of the thighs and run them down the shins to the outside edge of the middle toe. Keep the knees low. Make sure I feel happy. And then I see if I can roll the spine gently back down to bring the head to the floor. So I still get that nice long neck. Once I've done that, concentrate on drawing the tailbone down towards the floor. Once we get that connection with the mind and the body, we can slowly bring the soles of the feet up towards the sky. And I'm going to use the strength of my arms and my grip to draw the knees a little closer to the floor. Now allow the feet to move towards the front of the mat rather than towards the head. So you encourage the tailbone down to the floor. And we'll release. So we can bring the soles of the feet together and take hold of the ankles. And so bring the heels into the groin, the knees are out wide. So you press the soles of the feet very lightly together. And then we're going to release. So bring the knees in towards the body. And we're going to take a little hug. We'll draw the chin in towards the chest first. Wrap the arms around the shins. Tight little ball. You can be static or can roll a little bit if you wish. And then I'm going to release the feet out into that Shavasana shape. So I'm going to take my block underneath the back of the head again. Let the feet out to the corner edges of the mat. Let the toes roll out. Hands come to the side of the body, palms face up. Lengthen the hips away. Wiggle the shoulders underneath. Slacken the jaw. Breath in the belly, into the ribs. Let everything release as you exhale. Scan around the body to see if you can let yourself yield a little further. Now we can begin to wriggle the toes and the fingers. A little bit of movement into the wrists and the ankles. So breathe deeper. Enjoy a stretch out, whatever that feels like. And then slowly draw the heels in towards the body. Take that final gentle hug. On an exhale, roll onto your right side. Take a breath there. And then on the exhale, use the hands to press back up. Come into a comfortable seated position. Sitting up tall. Just a little wriggle. Bring the hands in towards your heart. As you exhale, let the chin drop. A gentle bow forms to the floor, sealing the practice. Inhaling, we lift the head. Namaste. Thank you for joining me. Have a wonderful day. See you soon.